Let's start setting up your tabletop streams. Welcome everybody out there in tabletop land. I hope you are enjoying everything, and if you do enjoy this content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It does help us out tremendously. It allows me to keep giving you this content just as this. And if you enjoyed this video, you should go back and watch the previous ones in the series, where I tell you how to use your smartphone as a webcam for your tabletop streams, and I tell you how to invest properly into good audio quality with several recommendations. Of course, like, comment, subscribe on all of those as well. But anyways, let's talk about the content here today. I started streaming back in 2017, I believe it was July, and I started noticing that there was a lot of flaws with what I was doing. First off, my computer was not set up properly to be capable of streaming and projecting at a high enough quality that people could actually enjoy it. I also started realizing that no matter what I did to my audio and how much I tweaked it, I had a lot of flaws with my players' audio, because you can't really tell people, hey, go out and invest into a microphone when they're playing inside your games. And over the years, I have been fine-tuning and upgrading everything about my setup, and some of my players have been as well. But none of that content is made to be show content. All of that is just games, and if you need to know the difference, we actually had a fantastic interview with Leone, also known as Classic Gadgets. I will have a link to that in the description below if you want to check it out. We go into stream overlays and setups, and just for reference, she's the one who made this entire overlay, so she knows what she's doing. She is by far the best inside of the scene. She has worked with people like Cypher of Tyr, or Into the Motherlands with show running. It's a tremendous little conversation. It's only about an hour long, but I highly recommend if you're trying to get into the mind of the leaders in this industry, she's somebody you need to be listening to. But anyways, how about we actually get started with the content that you came here for? Let me show you how OBS can be set up. Alrighty, so if you haven't already downloaded OBS, I highly recommend that you do. I utilize Streamlabs OBS, however, I recommend that you start off with OBS Studio. The only reason I'm currently on Streamlabs OBS is because I've been using it for so many years that transitioning everything I currently have into OBS would take me a tremendous amount of time, and I haven't had that time available to me just yet. But as soon as I do, I promise you I'll be going over to this. Now, OBS is nowhere near as pretty as Streamlabs OBS, but as I've said in previous videos, I still highly recommend that you start with this one instead. Let's first go over a few of the things that you're going to have to know. When you open up OBS, it is going to automatically have desktop audio and mic aux audio set up. It'll choose to your defaults. So, your desktop audio, whatever that projects into, presumably headphones, maybe a sound bar, maybe your computer has its own speakers, that's what it's going to default to specifically. Your mic, obviously, is going to be your default microphone. And as you can see, this is entering into the red zone. Now, you want to make sure that your audio never peaks, and peaking happens when you enter into that red area. So, you're going to be able to tweak around with that, but keep it in mind that you want to keep it less than that. Of course, you're going to want to make sure that the contrast between your desktop audio and your microphone audio prioritizes your microphone audio. Desktop audio is how everybody's going to be hearing your players, presumably, so long as you are playing remotely over Zoom or maybe over Meets or anything else like that. So you want it to be a little bit louder for yourself, but only very slightly. And then you can balance your audios and everything else that you want to utilize as you see fit. So, aside from that, over here you see that you have scenes. Now, whenever you see me shift between one area to another, that is a scene. You can set up as many of these as you would like, but we're going to start with just the simple one for your streams. Once you're inside of scenes, you'll be able to add your own sources. You don't have any sources added yet, but here, right click, go to add, and let's see what we want to do. Let's first add ourselves a display capture. So, display capture means it is going to pick up one of your monitors, one of your displays, and project whatever exists inside of that. So I'm going to hit OK. You can rename it to whatever you want. as you can see, it defaulted to my second display right here, which is currently set at my display 1, but it is my second physical display. And it automatically adds everything in here that you would like to use. You can, of course, scroll through with as many different displays as you want and choose specifically which one you want to use. As you can see, we have an infinite loop here as OBS is picking up OBS, is picking up OBS, is picking up OBS. Or you can go over to my third display right now, which I'm using inside of my meets, as you can see right here, so that I can utilize my closed captions on my primary screen. Not on this screen, though, because closed captions are available on YouTube already. You should be utilizing them if you have them. But yes, let's go back to this display right here so you can see what is going on. So it's picking up my OBS, or my Streamlabs OBS, sorry, but you're able to move this around, and as you can see, as I go up, because it is a vertical display, it is picking up both of my sections on this monitor. So you will be able to manipulate this as you see fit, move it around wherever you want inside of this area, and you'll be sure that this projects at the proper quality for you as well. I highly recommend that you set up your scene. I believe it's right over here. Orders, filters, transitions. Oh, nope, none of that. File. Settings. Yes, your stream. You set up to make sure that your streaming service is set to whatever you're streaming to. If that is Twitch, if that is YouTube, if that Facebook Gaming, or some other website or anything else like that, you set that up. You're going to have to connect your account, highly recommended, and you're going to have to get your stream key, which I'm not going to show you how to do that because I'm not sure how I can show that to you without showing you my stream key, and I don't want to give you access to streaming on my channel. Over here, output, this is all how much you are projecting. So right now the video bitrate is set to 2500 gigabytes per second. I'm not sure exactly how big that is personally. I know that I am video bitrate sending at 6,000 whenever I stream, but that is something my PC is capable of doing, and you should be able to see that right there, right? 6,000 bitrate? Yep, right there. So you're gonna have to see what your stream is capable of doing and capable of sending out. It's starting you with this amount means it's going to be starting you at a lower quality. Until you become affiliate, your streaming quality is capped at about 6,000, I believe, which is what I'm capped at as well until you become partnered. So just output it at the highest quality you can without destroying your computer. Having a higher quality is going to be amazing. Now, right here, your encoder. If you watched that interview between Leonie and myself, you would know that one of these two things, you actually utilize your CPU, and the other one is your GPU. Now, if you're streaming something like FPSs, you want to utilize your graphics card, if that is an option, because your graphics card is going to be a lot higher quality as it needs to be an FPS streamer. People don't want to see tearing, people don't want to see any lagging, anything such as that. However, for us, we want to keep it on this setting, hardware NVENC. That ensures that we are streaming utilizing our thread count that comes from our CPU. I learned this yesterday from Leonie, and I'm super excited to share that with many other people. Your audio bitrate, this is something I can actually explain a little bit. It starts you off at 160, which is not bad. 160 is typically what you will receive when you are listening to your phone without headphones from the majority of people's content on YouTube. It's not that tremendous quality, it is not great, and unless you have a phone that is, you know, made within the past 2 years, it's not that desirable. The newer phones, of course, can process a lot more of an audio bitrate, so you can actually unlock that and utilize that. However, I found out from somebody that I will hopefully be having a podcast with very soon, I can make her introduction to everybody as well, that 256 as an audio bitrate is actually the industry standard for radio, which is why I set mine to that. However, keep in mind, no matter how much of a bitrate you set this to, or how high you set this to, you will be capped based off of the physical hardware and equipment that you have. Because I have an XLR microphone that plugs into a preamp, I could probably go up to 288, but that will not affect anything of what I'm doing except my YouTube channel. So there's not really much of a reason for me to do that, and it does add a tiny bit more stress in your computer. The higher that you set your bitrate, the harder it is for you to output, and the more internet speed is required for you to do that at an efficient and effective rate. So find your balance based off of your internet speed, based off of how many people utilize your internet, what you're going to be adding to everything you're doing. The more files that you have, the larger the stress and strain is going to be. So just keep that in mind. But I'll set mine to 256 so you can see what I'm doing. Now, as you can see right here, your recording path, you could change this if you want. I mean, it statically goes to your videos. This is if you are like me, where you record your streams as you are doing them so that you can upload them to YouTube at the same time. If you are doing this for the purposes of just creating a catalog for the fellow players and maybe a few extra friends so they can follow along online, and you don't really care if anybody really sees it outside of that realm, don't worry about recording your content. You can download it from Twitch directly afterwards. However, if you are trying to make this more of a live experience that people can utilize and enjoy as much as possible, then yeah, you want to make sure that you have everything set up very properly. Your recording quality, you are not capped on your recording quality other than what your hardware is physically capable of doing, which is a fantastic feature that you have. If you are streaming at, say, 1080p, but your computer is capable of recording at 4K, or OBS can record at that 4K quality, you will lose quality from downloading directly from Twitch, if that is what you are doing, which is why I recommend recording directly as you are streaming, if that is something that you're trying to do, because YouTube quality has to be so much more superior than Twitch. I mean, think about it. How many Twitch streamers you jump in and, oh my god, they sound like they're this far away from their microphone and it distorts all the time, and it's really aggravating. It's really stupid. But on YouTube, if somebody has any quality remotely close to that and you're not watching like streaming highlights, more than likely you're going to click off. So know what you are going to be recording at. I recommend the recording format to be set to MP4 or MOV if you're going to be tweaking it in, say, After Effects or any other Adobe software or any other software in general. But MP4 is what you will be uploading at more specifically. But yeah, I think that's everything on output. Let's go over to audio right here. So, I'll do that right here as well. As you can see, your sample rate is set to an amount of hertz. I use 44.1, and as you can hear, my audio quality is pretty decent. 48 is obviously going to be a little better, but you do whatever you want to do. When you click on your channels, depending on how many different channels you have on your computer, or if you get yourself an actual sound setup, a sound bar, you know, like studio quality stuff, you'll be able to utilize other ones. Stick to stereo. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly good content and quality, and until you get into the upper echelons of YouTube, your quality is going to be on par with everybody else's, so long as your computer can handle what you are doing. Your desktop audio automatically set to default. Desktop audio 2 is if you have a different audio output, say you play music through one of your speakers but you have all of your players in your ear. That'll help you balance out based off of how you want to adjust everybody. So if you set up something like that, you can make it so you don't hear any of the music playing, or if you have a third-party add-on, like the... what is that microphone called? The Wave comes with automatically, you could adjust everything simultaneously and level it out in a way where people can hear it much louder than what you hear. I myself don't have anything like that set up currently. I keep my quality set at a static low volume, but I project it at a higher volume. Right now, I can barely hear the music playing that all of you can hear. That's just how I like it. And as for all of these other things, you don't really need to worry about changing any of them. It's pre-set up to be pretty optimized. And, of course, your video. You want to make sure that your base resolution and your output are set to something that you think you would be capable of watching. Now, my base canvas is 1920 by 1080, and I output at that as well. That's because my computer was set up to be able to handle that. You want a very strong CPU to be able to do something on par with what I do. If you're going to be recording at 1920 by 1080 while streaming at 1920 by 1080, that takes a little bit of a toll on your computer. Now, I recommend that you actually output at a slightly lower quality, at least to start, until you have a computer. But make sure it's one of the interval qualities that people are familiar with. So maybe 1280 by 720. I would not go less than that. I know some people have to based off of the setups they have, but if you're trying to make sure that you have a much higher quality content, that's probably what you're going to be looking at. Now, as for hotkeys in advance and all that, that's a little bit more academically difficult to learn, so we're not going to worry about that to start with. As for everything else that's going on, where are we at in our advanced settings? Let me look at my advanced settings right here. Process priority, normal. You don't want to strain your computer too terribly much, or you might end up hurting it a little bit. For your video, your renderer, apparently that's a word that they use, the renderer. I guess that's perfectly fine. I don't have the option to change that. Your color format, yep, that's perfectly fine. Your color space and your color range. Your color space and your color range is how different the colors can appear to one another as they are moving through everything that you are doing. From right here, there's not that much color going on, but when you're streaming something as extravagant as tabletop games, especially if you're using maps in the background, which you don't have to, but if you are, you want to make sure your color space is a little higher, and the range can be set to partial, and that should be everything. But aside from all of this, everything seems to be pretty good, pretty all right. You hit apply changes and okay if you had to make any changes in particular, and I think this is where we are going to be ending this section of the video off. Stay tuned, as we are next going to be going over how to set up your actual stream. But thank you all very much. I hope you had a fantastic time, and we will see you all next time. Goodbye.